Hello, my name is Keshwani. I have been solving math problems for GMAT out of this book here, the GMAT Review, the official guide, 11th edition. If you do not have this book, and if you're thinking about sitting for the GMAT, buy this book immediately at mba.com. Right now, I'm about to solve a problem that you will find on page number 166, problem solving number 106. This problem that I'm about to do, there are two ways of doing this problem. It's an algebraic problem, and therefore the two ways will be, you can solve this problem the algebraic way, the classical way, the orthodox way, the traditional way, the proper way, the academic way, which is one way. If you're very good at algebra, if you know how to set up the equation of the algebra very quickly and correctly, which is a big if, because a lot of people are prone to making mistakes when they try algebra, and especially under the time constraint. Another way is the non-classical way. I'm going to show you how to solve this problem in a non-classical way without the algebra. Okay, pay attention. It says the present ratio of students to teacher at a certain school is 30 to 1. Alright, students to teacher is 30 to 1. Students to teacher is 30 to 1. If the students' enrollment were to increase by 50, and if the students' enrollment were to increase by 50 and the number of teachers were to increase by 5, in other words, the number of students is going up by 50 and the number of teachers is going up by 5. If that were to happen, the new ratio, we are told, becomes 25 to 1. The question simply is, what is the present number of teachers? What is the present number of teachers? And the 5 choices that I'm given here are 5, 8, 10, 12, 15. So here's the logic. Hear me out, see if it makes any sense. See if it makes any sense to you, and see if you fancy it, if you like it. If not, then the only other alternative is the algebra. The logic is very simple. The logic is that, why the bloody hell should I solve this thing in the algebraic way and take a chance of making a mistake, careless mistake in the algebra? Why don't I take one of these answer choices, put it back in the problem and see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'm going to try a different number. I'm going to keep on trying different numbers until I get lucky. How many times will I end up trying in the worst case scenario? If you're sitting there and saying 4 or 5 times, that does not entice me. That does not get me excited. You can find the right answer just by trying twice. What you do is, you start out with the happy compromise. Always start in the middle. Whenever the answer choice is numerical, I shouldn't say whenever, because that's a very strong statement. Most of the time, when the answer choices are numerical, almost 99% of the time, the answer choices when are numerical, they are arranged either in ascending order, increasing order, or in the descending order. They are always arranged in the order. They are not mixed up. So start in the middle, the happy medium. If it works, if C fits, you're done. It's solving a math problem. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. If all the pieces fit, you're done, you're fine. If it doesn't fit, if the piece does not fit, you should be able to tell whether the piece is too small or too large. Almost 90% of the time you should be able to say that. You should be able to tell that. And you go from there. For example, if I'm going to try C, if it's too small, right away I will know that C is wrong, so is B, and so is A. Answer has to be either D or E. If at that point I'm running out of time, I want to move on with my life, I have 50-50 chance, I'll just pick one and move on. Or if you feel like it, if you have the time, and if you feel like it, you can try one of these two and see if it works. If you try this one, if it's still too small, the answer has to be this. But let's get going. So I'm going to pretend that there are, in fact, 10 teachers to begin with, because that's the question. The question is, what is the present number of teachers? What is the present number of teachers? So whatever the question is asking, which is what I refer to as a punchline, you assume that the answer to the punchline is what is stated in the C. So I'm going to pretend there are 30 teachers. If there were, 10 teachers. If there were in fact 10 teachers to start out with, there also must have been 300 students to start out with. And then what happened? Then we are told that we add 50 students and 5 teachers. So we end up with 15 to 350. The question is this 25 to 1? How do I figure out very quickly what is 25 times 15? Well, here's how we do it. Take your 15, stick 2 zeros at the end. That's 100 times 15. What is half of 1500? I hope that you're able to see right away that half of 1500 is 750. And what is half of that? Half of 750 is 375. This is 25 times 15. As you can see, we do not have enough students. We need more students. How do I get more students? Well, we get more students here if we start out with more students. Well, how do I start out with more students? I can start out with more students if I had more teachers, because the ratio has to be 1 to 30. So I'm going to try a bigger number. Since this is too small, I already know that C is wrong, so is B, and so is A. Let's try something different. Just to save time in the clip, I'm going to try E. If you want to try D, that's fine. You will see that it doesn't work. It is not 25 to 1. It is still too small. We need fewer students when we try this. Let me just quickly look in the back, see if I have time actually to do D and E. Well, I'm 6 minutes into the clip. Let me show you the D. The D does not work. Students to teachers. If I try 12, which is what I'm going to try next, then 12 times 3 is 36. I must have had 360 students to begin with, because it's 30 to 1. If I add 50 and if I add 5, I end up with 17 and 410. Well, how do I find 25 times 17? This is some nitty-gritty techniques that you have to learn. You cannot, if you want, you can sit down and do it out if you want to. It's not a big deal. So just do it out and you will see that it is not 410. This number is going to be larger than this one. We need more students, so we have fewer students here. You can do it this way. I prefer not to do it that way. I just stick 2 zeros at the end. That's 1700. I know quarter of 1600 is 400. Therefore, quarter of 1700 should be 425. I need more students. I only have 410. How do I get more students? I can get more students if I start out with more students. How do I start out with more students? I can start out with more students if I have more teachers. I already know that the answer is E, because D is still too small. C was small and so is D. Let me do E now. I already know the answer is E. If I were taking the real exam, I wouldn't waste my time with E. I would just pick it and move on because it has to be the answer. But just to convince you, I'm going to do it here. Students and teachers. Students and teachers. I'm going to try now 15. If I had 15 teachers to begin with, 15 times 3 is 45. Let's take a 0, so that becomes 30 to 1 instead of 3 to 1. So it's 30 to 1. And then we get 50 more students and 5 more teachers. So I end up with 500. I end up with 500 to 20. What is 20 times 5? Let me write it in a little bit neat handwriting. A little bit neater handwriting, that is. What is 25 times 20? Well, that's very simple. 25 times 20 is just 50. 2 times 25 is 50 on a 0. As you can see, it works. This ratio is 25 to 1, which is what we are told in the problem that we should end up with at the end. It works. Answer is E. That's it. That's the end of it. Listen, if you wish to buy the DVDs of my solutions to the problem, where I show you the classical way and the non-classical way. In the next clip, I'm going to make the next clip and I'll show you the same problem in a classical way, how to do it with the algebra. In my DVD, I do both problems. Here, I have to stop here because the YouTube will not let me put the clips if it runs over 10 minutes. So I have to keep it under 10 minutes. So I'm going to make one more clip where I'm going to solve it in the classical way. But in the DVDs that I put together, I show you both ways, classical way and the non-classical way. And I do a very thorough job there. If you wish to purchase those DVDs where I have done the solutions to all the math problems, send me an email. Go to the website www.prep.gmat.com, where I have done the solutions as best as I could, in most cases in both classical way and the non-classical way. Also, if you wish to hire me for personal private tutoring, if you wish to hire my services for personal private tutoring, face-to-face private tutoring, again, go to the website, send me an email, and we'll talk. All right? Thank you.